Hello, hi, plant-based performance runners and plant-based performance podcast listeners. Welcome back to another Plant-Based Tip Tuesdays with myself, Coach Kayla. I'm an online plant-based dietitian, nutrition, and run coach. And how is everybody doing before we get into today's episode? As you guys can see, I try to dress up into what I could find as a Halloween costume. So I threw on a jersey so I could look like an athlete, but not necessarily a runner. So this is my Halloween costume for today. We're actually getting ready to move very soon. So a lot of our things are actually packed up. So finding a Halloween costume was not very easy. And unfortunately, we will be actually moving on Halloween and traveling. So we won't actually be probably celebrating Halloween. But let me know what is your most fun costume that you've ever had. One of the probably my favorite costume when I was a kid, or I shouldn't say my favorite, but the one that's probably the most memorable is when my mom made us dinosaur costumes, and I loved purple. So she made me a purple dinosaur. Um, so that was fun. Another fun costume that I made, and I completely made it myself, which I think was really fun. I love custom costumes. I think it's just more fun. Is a minion, a yellow minion. So if anyone loves minions, that's also a fun Halloween costume. And I actually made my costume, as I said, which was pretty cool. So anyways, if you are just joining us here tonight, make sure to comment below with your name or click the link above me and allow StreamYard to show your name so I can see who it is. And just tell me, hey, hello, let me know you're here. If you're watching this on replay, as always, just post below replay if you're catching this later on. And today we're going to be talking about why a plant-based lifestyle may not be for you. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about this and specifically, why we're going to talk about this is so you know if this lifestyle is for you. And one thing I want to kind of start off with here as well is the first thing is thinking of this and knowing this that it's a lifestyle, it's not a diet. That is one of the biggest things to really understand. With plant-based nutrition, way I talk about it is it's a lifestyle. And that's what I love about plant-based nutrition. It is something that you can do lifelong. Same thing with running. As long as you do you train the correct way, the proper way, and make sure to, treat those injuries and things like that. If they do pop up, you should be able to really run to your life. And everything that I always suggest and advise is always things that are long term. There's no quick fixes. There's no easy things that are going to completely change your life overnight. It doesn't work like that. But these are, everything I share is strategies and things that you can do for a lifetime. So hopefully you guys realize that and understand that. But that's definitely the first thing to know. So if you feel like, being plant-based is a diet, then it may not be right for you if you feel like that. If it's just a diet or a phase and not something that you can be or you can do for a long time. Because that is technically what a diet is. Diets are short term, they're not a long term way of eating, but I would argue that plant based is. And many of you know as well is that my expertise and what I love to share with the world is why a plant-based lifestyle is so beneficial, and especially for runners, why it can also not only be beneficial for our health, but also be beneficial for our performance. So that I would say is number one, is if it's not for you if you think that it is a diet. Number two would be if you have a diagnosed eating disorder or epilepsy. So if you have an eating disorder, plant-based, obviously is, I'm try to kind of use diet and lifestyle interchangeably. But when you do eat plant-based, it is somewhat restrictive, and it can be very restrictive for somebody that is in a full-blown eating disorder. So I have worked with clients that have past eating disorders, but usually they are past it a little, in a good place where plant-based nutrition is achievable for them as a runner, but it's definitely more challenging. And this is definitely a case where if you are, definitely reach out to somebody like myself, a qualified nutrition professional, because I can bet even if you are, running at the collegiate level, there's probably not somebody that's going to be able to guide you very well. But when you do have a diagnosed eating disorder, as I said, it can be very restricted and it can be very hard for you in that time to look at this as a lifestyle. And you may not be there yet. It doesn't mean that you can't get there if you want to learn how to eat more plant based. It just means that it's going to be a lot more challenging and a lot more difficult for you to do that. When you may just have to kind of take it back a little bit and work more on those strategies that are going to help you with your relationship to food. And also, I mentioned epilepsy. So, epilepsy is a seizure disorder. So, what is known in the evidence and research that shows to the diet to help epilepsy is a low carb diet. Now, plant based nutrition, plant based is higher in carbohydrates because you're getting most of your foods from plants. So, it may not be best for those with epilepsy because it's going to be very hard for you, to do a really low carb diet when you're eating plant based. So it wouldn't be for them either. Number three is you don't like to eat, or in general, or you don't like vegetables. So if you don't like to eat, it may be very hard for you, especially as somebody that is a runner and athletic. It can be very hard for you to make sure to eat enough to fuel yourself. This is something that I work with clients, and can be really helpful to have somebody to just guide you and support you and making sure to know how much to eat, because some of us are afraid of eating too much. Um, but we do need to eat. So hopefully you are at a place that you do like to eat. And if you want to eat plant-based, then go for it. That's what's something really great about. I just had a great conversation with another practitioner, and he talked about how he loves to eat. And he's like, well, that's not my problem. So everybody's different. Everyone's a different place at where they're at. And I've met some people that just don't like to eat, and it makes being plant-based, especially as an athlete, very challenging and very definitely a struggle. But for those that do like to eat, it's definitely a perfect fit for you, because you are going to be eating more food. You're going to have to eat more food in order to fuel your body properly. No, and also I mentioned if you don't like vegetables. So if you don't like vegetables, it can be very hard to also be plant-based, because most of your diet or most of your dietary intake food intake is going to come from vegetables. So if you don't really like vegetables, it can probably be very challenging as well. Or I should also say, if you're not open to trying new vegetables, because if you don't like a lot of vegetables and you're not open to trying new vegetables, then this could be also really challenging. Number four is you don't value your health, environment, or animals. So this is a huge one. So for a lot of people, one of possibly the motivating factors of even going plant-based at first wasn't because of the benefits. They might not even known the benefits as a runner, but they might have done it based on ethical reasons. So they value health. We value our health. We want to be healthy because we know, even as runners, that doesn't mean we are healthy. I actually just saw recently, did she run Boston or Chicago? I know a couple marathons, major marathons just happened, but she's a running coach, and she had a cardiac episode during her race, which is super, super scary. She did not finish the race. And she talked about her journey on Instagram and kind of, what on her experience and what happened. And she had some heart issues. And this is actually very common with those that are runners. And for some of us, and that's not to say in this case, but for some of us, we may feel that because we work out, because we exercise, it doesn't matter what we eat. But really, it does matter. You can still not have the healthiest heart based on your diet. So we need these things go together. And I can't emphasize that enough. We need to make sure that we are eating properly, putting the right nutrition in our bodies, as well as being active. So we need both of these things. So hopefully, if you are plant-based already, you probably do value your health. And also, as I said, the environment and animals is another thing. So for a lot of people that again are plant-based, maybe more specifically vegan and don't eat any animal products, they really care about the environment, because what we know is that we spend so many more resources um, feeding animals that could actually go for ourselves. So there's a lot of resources going out there. We are, really contributing more to the negative environmental impacts. And if by eating meat, and if we could cut down, gas emissions and greenhouse gases and all of these things we could cut down by just going plant based. And it's really, really cool to even, the more you learn about that and the more you see that, can be really impactful to doing it, because every one of us can actually make an impact. And by just limiting our animal products can make an impact on the environment. To me, that is so worth it, because for a lot of us, we might want to help. We might want to solve the world's problems. And unfortunately, we can't. We can't solve all the world's problems. But what we can do is we can take action and behaviors in our own individual life that can contribute to the overall quality of humanity in our lives. Um, and with animals as well, if I feel like if you love animals, it's kind of crazy that we would eat animals. So if you are an animal lover, you may realize that you can't eat animals anymore. And actually, it's really interesting that I've seen videos of kids really making this connection very early on as kids, and really going vegan basically because they don't want to eat animals, because animals are our friends. So that's something that is very interesting, but definitely something that, if you don't value those things, if you don't value your health, if you don't value your environment, if you don't value your animals, it may be very hard for you to really stick to eating plant based, because those are usually one of the core main reasons that people are doing it. Most likely, it's not because you want those performance benefits. That's usually just kind of extra. It could be because more evidence is coming out of the performance benefits, which is really exciting. But most cases, those are kind of the three reasons why people would go plant based and would really help them to stick with it. So, just to recap and summarize all of that, is number one is a plant-based lifestyle may not be for you if you view this as not a lifestyle but a diet. Number two, if you have a diagnosed eating disorder, epilepsy. Number three is you don't like to eat food at all, or you just don't like very many vegetables and you're not open to eating more vegetables. And number four is you don't value your health, the environment, or animals. So that is what I have for today. Do you guys have any questions? If anybody is on, you're welcome to comment below if you have any questions at all on this topic. Or, also, tell me where you're at as well. Are you plant-based? Are you interested in, this topic for other people because they, might be resisting the change, or might be kind of not sure about your change, and they're kind of a little bit just not really sure if you're doing the right thing, kind of thing. Let me know where you guys are, or if you're somebody that's not plant-based yet but you're interested in going plant-based, but you're not sure if it's right for you, let us know as well. Where are you at in your journey? And last but not least, as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you guys do have any questions or would like any help. Also, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the podcast, the Plant Based Performance Podcast. And if you're not already, make sure you're in our community, the Plant Based Performance Running community, so we can keep in touch with each other. We can, make sure that you are notified of any new opportunities or offers. You will be the first to know, or even free guides. So if you are in my plant-based running community as well, you may have received the fall Instant Pot Easy Recipe Whole Food Plant-Based Recipe ebook that I just put out. So if you're not in the group, you might have missed that if you're not on the email list either. But if you do want that, definitely reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out. Those are great, easy, simple plant-based recipes. And I try to keep things as simple and quick and easy as possible, because we know if you're training, if you have a family, if you work a full-time job, eating plant-based is not easy to do when you are so busy. So I try to make it as easy as possible for you, and hopefully you will love the recipes as well. So with that, have a wonderful weekend. Have a great Halloween. And I will see you all back here on Tuesday next week. Bye.